today's live, but it doesn't seem. Is that any better? Is that any better? Can you see me now? And so, hello and welcome to today's live chat. Unfortunately, I didn't actually declare the live. Oh, look at that! There's a mosquito in here. I can see the mosquito as I'm just sitting here, and I'll have to do another video on how not to have mosquitoes in the van. And the best thing you can do to keep mosquitoes out, I've found, is if you get something which is quite pleasant smelling, well, it depends, pleasant of course, such as lavender or citronella, and then that tends to, I think there's 2 of them in now, that tends to keep the things out. If you get a burner, so sort of like put a tea candle under it, and hello Nathaniel, and then you put water in and you put this oil essence in, and it makes a very nice smell inside, and at the same time as making a nice smell, it also it keeps the insects out. You can also use other things, hello Annie, such as electronic things. I've got this glue thing which they're supposed to fly into, and then it destroys them as they fly into it by an electric charge. I mean, the electricity, it apparently gets hot inside. I can't say I've ever noticed it getting hot, but it's I'm sorry, it's okay. Anyway, there's 2 ideas for getting rid of them. Now, missed it. There it is. Sorry. Right. What happened here? I'm always very careful about whenever I open the door. And I was talking to someone you wanted to see in the van, and I said, "Yeah, please go inside." And he didn't want to. He didn't want to come inside. So the conversation was at the door, and this, I think, might have actually encouraged them to come in. I'm really. I'm a bit obsessional about the things like mosquitoes getting into the van, and anyway, I'll get something out now to hopefully catch them and teach them a lesson about not coming into the vehicle at all. I mean, the mosquito nets on the doors and on the windows, I'm sure it stops them getting in a bit, but it never seems to actually work completely. Anyway, so I have now been in this vehicle for this tour here, what, about 2 months now? And no, even more than that. When did I leave? I left on the 3rd of June. So it's not, yeah, it's more than 2 months. It's 2.5 months nearly. And I've got to say, absolutely fantastic being in this van, and it's utterly sort of the thing I really wanted to do. I really like the space I've got. I love this integrated huge window up front. Something I was never in favor of integrated vehicles. I always thought get semi-integrated. Obviously, an integrated vehicle, you're looking at about 15% more on the cost to actually buy it, but it is absolutely more what I term a living vehicle. It's like a home, more of a home than because I know it looks at the front, you've still got your steering wheel, you've got your gear stick, and you got the other stuff that goes up with the driving, but it's something, I think, that makes it gives it the home where you've got the space. And I know it's not all that great a space, it's not that much more. If you look at any semi-integrated vehicle, and the body bit at the back, so you've got the front bit and then it comes out a bit here, but maybe what's it come out at? Maybe maximum, I don't know, 12 centimeters at most, in an exaggerated case, so that's 24 centimeters altogether, because you've got 2 sides to consider. It is, I think it's a little bit more difficult to drive, and I could understand somebody being a little bit wary of driving it at first, but to me this is absolutely no, it's absolutely fantastic. But the thing I really like about this vehicle here as well, it got this double floor, and when I was in the winter, now I was living it in the winter, and because I wasn't really touring though. I mean, I drove it from one place to another, but that doesn't really count, I don't think. And the raised floor, and that, what a difference! I mean that. It, I don't know what to say. It's before I used to put towels on the floor. Now I put towels on the floor. Well, my thinking was that I can always shake a towel out. It's much easier now. I do have a bath mat next to the shower. So when I come out the shower, at least I mean I put my feet on the bath mat. But it's it's much I don't have towels on the floor any longer. So anyway, and so what we're talking about tonight, I was just talking about my new vehicle. So I'll be honest here, this was not planned because I realize now that I put up 2 videos for tomorrow and no videos for tonight. So it's fortunately I got back on time and I noticed that there wasn't a video up tonight. I feel actually here because I've got other vehicles. There's now today I've got a van which is next to me, which is almost the same. It's the same age. I can tell from the outside. It's a 2006 model. It's a 6-meter version though, with a rear door on that side. Here's that. Missed it. Missed it again. And it's got a drop-down bed here. So that is so my neighbours have got also integrated. And so Banana asks, do I need an assistant? Well, what, to get rid of the insect? That would be a good thing. Another thing I find actually with this vehicle, though it's probably I think this is probably due to the fact there's fewer holes in this one, or there aren't any holes, unlike my other one. I don't get insects inside so much, and that one here clearly sneaked in. I mean, they still get in anyway, but it's not as I don't even get as many. I don't know if that's due to the build or what it is. I have of course had, because I've got an electric fridge in here, so I've had the vents have been completely blocked. I did have them blocked in the other one as well, of course, but the other one, what the other one had was there was a hole for where the exhaust for the gas burner came in, and things are getting that way. Here it seems to, well, there's still a place for the exhaust comes in and out, but it seems to be better protected than it was before. Look at this. I can see myself in the camera, and I can see that insect behind me somewhere. So anyway, right, I'll tell you what I'm about to do. Oh, quick question. Are there any people living in their motorhomes where you are? Yeah, there's a number here, actually. This is one of the this is a very popular location. In fact, I was just talking to somebody. He's got a roller team TL284, and on this side to me, there's a very interesting Westfalia on an VW LT25. So that must be around, I would have thought. Got it. All right, there's one more mosquito in heaven. What am I supposed to do with it now? Right, well, I'll put it on the table. Get rid of it later. And there's a Pössl van next to that. Today, this morning, there was a very interesting right next to me. There was a Mitsubishi. I forgot what it is. 300 is it? So it's like 425 centimeters long, and he had turned it into a camper. It was a self-build petrol version, and it was from 1988, I think he said it was. And I thought that was a really curious sort of thing. I remember seeing these Mitsubishis in London. It must have been around that time, and I think that would be a really good thing to actually own. So yeah, this is one of the places. If you look in Park for Night, for example, this is one of the places where people come. I tend to use Park for Night now. Okay, so there are places I found myself which I've put in, but when wild camping, and you can always rely on other people. In fact, I'll do a talk during the day, because I mean I could turn the thing around now, but it's dark outside, and so with the camera, although it's said to me that I've got a new this telephone I'm using now is brand new, so it's said to be the it's top of the, well, it's a Samsung S23 Ultra, whatever it's called, and the night camera, I've taken one or two things from the other camera. It seems to be very good. I'm quite impressed. I'm quite impressed by it. But anyway, I'll do a live during the day so you can see better what's going on. For me, this is sort of thing I really like, though. I really like the atmosphere here. I like the contact with the sea. That for me is really good. But I am going to be making my way west next week. Now, 2 weeks today, or 2 weeks tomorrow, really, the caravan salon starts. So I always try to wangle myself in a day earlier, and we, as a professionals day, although they're letting just about anybody in now on the professionals day, but the professionals day is supposedly the Friday. So the Thursday before, I try to get myself in. I mean, last year I thought I'll try and get myself on the Wednesday, see if I can get it. And so I'm making my way there slowly, but I don't like, I know it sounds a bit daft, but I don't particularly like driving anyway, to be quite honest. I mean, I don't dislike it. It's not that I dread doing it, but it's not something I super look forward to either. I think it's for me, it's definitely the arrival rather than the journey, which is important. So anyway, you've got, I'll answer the question here. Park for night, yeah, great stuff. And so Luke's got some, be there all week, and going for the whole week. And I finally, how many motorhomes do I have? I only have one now. I had two for a couple of months whilst I got rid of the older one. But no, I wouldn't want more than that, because there's nowhere to actually to keep them. In any case, I live in this thing here all the time, and for me, yeah, actually, I do have also. I've got a Mercedes Sprinter van, which we're going to convert. Was supposed to be converted, never got around. The person I was going to be doing it with, well, it didn't sort of quite work out. So anyway, and so this is a B514 Hymer. It's 639 centimeters long and 226 centimeters wide. It's a bit wider than what I had before, but not a lot wider. 7 centimeters wider. Hello, doctor. And so it's this anyway. So that's what I'm doing. The one of the things I have to say as well about size is that in a place like I'm in now, there is a Concorde which is parked down there. But the Concorde, I think they've got a paid place, and because there's no way they could have gotten any in the free places. And the problem is this with these longer vehicles, it's parking, and to my way of thinking, anything more than say, well, 7.5 meters is an absolute max, because you just, I mean, and there's so many places which are free. But you know, if you're big, I mean, you just can't get into them. So if you're just going to stay on campsites, you can say, well, you can either get a really big one, or you can get a small one with no facilities inside, and so that doesn't matter. But if you want to do things like wild camping, if you want to just stop wherever you can, you want the freedom bit, then really you've got to, I think, opt for a smaller vehicle which will fit into these places which are available. I just cannot see. I'm be curious to know if there is anybody. So, well, look, I've got a 9-meter van and I park absolutely anywhere I want. Well, if there is somebody like that, then please come forward and see. But for example, in the place I'm at now, you know, okay, it could be an extra, maybe even an extra meter. It might just fit in, but not much more than that. The way I travel and use the vehicle is that I normally try to find a just outside of the town or something like that, and then I park there. and then I use my bicycle or public transport or whatever. And last month I was in Berlin, or June. I was in or June and beginning of July. I was in Berlin, and there I parked. It was coincidental because I went to visit a company, but the company, it was just outside the paid zone. The paid zone was what, about 200 meters further away. So I was very lucky that I parked in the free area. Now I went to them and it was packed full. I should have gone there in the evening when nobody was around. But I know now what to do for the future, to go there in the evening when there's nobody around, and then attempt and then find my parking space. But the thing is, in many cities, this just wouldn't be possible. I mean, I've got a question somebody asked me about if I know in London where can you park, and they said the only way to go to London is to take the train or something. Forget it. The Okay, there are some places you go, but an additional problem is in London. If you, even if you did keep outside the emissions zone, if you parked on sort of a row of houses or something, and if there are still those areas where you can actually go without with residence permits, then somebody will report you if you see a van outside. That happened to me. Somebody there's things stuck on. Council has been informed, stuck on the front of the windscreen of my vehicle. So in Berlin, it was much easier. Okay. Oh, Mobil says Sainsbury's car park in London, but isn't that limited to time? Don't they have in many areas? Just now. In the town I come from in the UK, I noticed on the Facebook page somebody said there's the pub there is now if you've got to punch in your car registration number, and if you don't do that, there's some absurd £100 to pay or something, and then you're allowed like an hour and a half to eat your meal if you buy it off them. And okay, I mean, fair enough. Maybe they're getting people parking in the car park. But I thought though that I can remember even being chased out of a car park like that in my car in 1992. Yeah. So the thing, they may be strict. I mean, the thing is with something like Sainsbury's, because I can't recall how it's done now, but aren't they are too understaffed? Yeah, that's a point. But don't they have a deal with a company like Abcor or something like that, and then you get I don't know, it says £90 fine or something ridiculous like that. I mean, in Lidl here in Poland. See you, Luke. Lidl here in Poland, they've got signs up that if you don't, it costs I don't know, 95 zloty to park your vehicle, unless you put the ticket, and you get a ticket, and the ticket gives you an hour there. I do appreciate that, if you park your vehicle and went and did some shopping and then got a fine. This would be really awkward. I do also understand though. I've seen a number of people complain about things like this in the UK, and the thing is, the shops may attempt to give the money back, but if they've subcontracted this to a company like Abcor or others, then it's then outside of their remit to actually give it. So you go into a shop, you spend £100 on shopping or whatever, and then you got another £100 fine. It's a bit off-putting, and so yeah, I really don't think, unless you go to a retail park, that makes a bit more sense, because in that case nobody knows where you are. So you could be in the DIY place, you could be in the I don't know, the electronics superstore, you could be in the whatever, the food shop. Then nobody knows where you are. In that case, that makes more sense. But again, though, if they've got parking subcontracted, then that can be a problem. I mean, in the UK though, it's so difficult to park anywhere. All right, so Andrew asks, where in the UK am I from? So Andrew's in Poole, Dorset. Oh, I think I have relatives there, but originally from the West Midlands. I am from Newcastle, or near Newcastle. So that's what my accent is, and of course I can also speak in dialect, but I'll try and avoid doing so on videos. I do notice though sometimes when I do. I can record myself, and when I'm actually preparing something, and then I start reverting to dialect when I'm actually talking. But I try to speak in standard English as I when I do things like this. I mean, I do when I get excited. I sort of do revert to dialect quite a lot. There's a place. I was thinking of doing videos on my favorite places. In fact, I think I even started about 15 years ago. And there's a place where the River Tyne, near the estuary of the Tyne, so the River Tyne flows into the North Sea at Tynemouth, and just beyond that, there's North Shields. And at North Shields, there is it's quite high above the Tyne, and you can look. Thanks, see, you've got this place where there's three old lighthouses. All of them, none of them are used any longer. But and I could sit there on there's a chair overlooking at a bench and sit there for hours on end, just admiring the view. And I think this is really wonderful. And there's a place here with where the two rivers flow into each other, and I can just stand there for ages just admiring it. And to me, I find it also because you've got the port, we've got the grain shipment area, for example. You can see these big vessels coming in, and something's being pulled in by tugs, three tugs that have to turn them around, and then they go up to the grain shipment area, and you can see them loading up with grain. Which takes quite a long time as well. It seems to me to take 2 or 3 days. Sometimes the boat, the ships seem to be there. I mean, obviously I'm not controlling what they're getting up to, but that's the sort of thing personally. I really like looking at that. There was something which I sort of dreamed of when I wanted to live in a van, which was the following. I wanted to be able to be in a fishing port, and to actually watch the boats coming in and things like that. So the first time I did this was in a place called Vibo Marina in Calabria, in southern Italy. And I was the thing is this, I thought, this is what I've dreamed of all this time. It was pouring with rain. Of course it was in December, but pouring with rain. And not only that, it wasn't a particularly nice place to be anyway. At night there was people going past, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Thing was, like, a couple of days later, I found another place to park my vehicle, which was in an old port in a place called Pizzo, and not Pizza, but Pizzo with no. And that was absolutely fantastic, particularly when there's storms at sea. And I had my van there in the sea coming over, and I see the waves come over my vehicle. I thought it was great until I imagined I realised just a minute that sea's full of salt and it won't be doing my vehicle any good. But I really like that, the waves going splash over the top. So I moved the vehicle to take it out of the way of the salt. I suppose I could have taken it down for a wash afterwards. In fact, the storm, that was unusual. People were talking about the storms. I mean, this is southern Italy, so that was in December. But you wouldn't normally expect it to be that bad, even so. So anyway, right. So this is what I'm doing. I'm in Gdańsk. I'm gonna in Poland, northern Poland. So I'm gonna go along the Polish coast, and then I'm going to go to in Mecklenburg, north of Berlin, and so there's a couple of places there I want to visit, and then I might drop down to Magdeburg, and then I want this place Minden. I want to visit, and then I'll be in Dusseldorf. So I'm going to a caravan salon which is I'm expecting to be quite a lot of people. Sorry, I'm not I'm expecting to be a lot of vans there this year, because unlike this change in the market, there's now the market's changed to being lots of people wanting. Sorry, so lots of people wanting to sell vans. So suddenly now it's from a buyer's market, compared to the situation last year where I couldn't understand at all why even the manufacturers even bothered to turn up, because they couldn't produce enough for to meet the demand. Now it's completely a different situation, and so I would expect there to be more and more people there, because they really do want to actually sell their vehicles. I fear though that some companies in this business now could find themselves in much more difficult situation. So I just sorry, I just read the comments here. So doctor had Heinz beans today. Right, I eat beans all the time, but I never buy them in tins. I make them myself. I get beans, let them soak for 24 hours or something like that, and then okay, you might have to wash them again. So you wash them first, then you let them soak, and then maybe you want to wash them again, which has the effect of reducing the after effects of beans. And then alternatively, you might just want to cook them in the water that you soak them in. So it has anyway, that's, I really wanted to show something about cooking, how to cook things in vehicles, or at least, sorry, not how to cook things, but how I cook things, maybe not how to. So anyway, so Cornish writes, glad the new van has worked out for you. You've mentioned your other channel where you cover history. How could I find it? Yes, if you go to the thing, it says channels on the first page. It's or you write in Alan Heath 3. That you can find my history channel there. So yeah, I upload. I'm now doing lives on every day on the History Channel, but plus there's a documentary type video on Fridays, and that's at 1900 hours UK time, 2000 hours where I am, and so that. Okay, so Andrew says, thought could see a change in the market, more choice, and if I'm not mistaken, prices slightly cheaper. I believe, I do accept the fact, and that Hymer says has put his price up, but bear in mind, with motorhome prices, you can't tell what they are anyway. It's not like if you buy a tin of beans, then you will notice the price, but with motorhomes, you can't, because the thing is, there's a base price, but nothing ever gets sold at the base price. So that's pointless, because it doesn't include the documentations and in delivery. And so already without that, the prices are hidden. What they will do, I think, is to make things seem poorer. So, for example, on Fiat Ducato, now Fiat Ducato 9 from the Fiat Ducato 8, the 9 is nowhere. It doesn't have the luxuries that the 8 has, for example, and I think that that will happen more and more. So they'll say, "Oh, look, it's 10% cheaper." Yeah, but it hasn't got any seats inside or something like that. That was a little joke, but there will be less. They'll try and save money. And this is the problem always. If you think of this, a motorhome is large. It's built by hand. It's not built by machines as such. And so therefore, what will happen is they'll start putting cheaper stuff inside, because they can't really save on the labor, or if they can find some way of saving on the labor by not putting stuff inside, then they'll do that. But there's a huge difference between a quality vehicle and a non-quality. I'll give you a very good example. That's the electricity, the cabling. And if you look at a cheaper van and you pull out, for example, you have to take out the control panel or something like that. Now, in something like this, you'll have two cables going into it. And if you take out some of these cheaper things, you'll get a massive spaghetti with cables, and nobody knows where any of them are going. So that's one of the differences. I mean, there's other things as well. I mean, the finishing on is bad, or you could, if things where they've got to do things much quicker because of the for cost reasons, then you're bound to get things going wrong. I mean, you get it if you buy a Morello or a Concorde or something, things are gonna go wrong. But the cheaper end of the market, it's even more so. That's why I strongly believe in getting a classic vehicle if you can, something like Carthago, a Frankia, a Hymer, EuraMobil, something like that. If you can get something like that, I don't know, 10 years old or whatever, that you'd be better off than getting a new cheaper brand, in my opinion. If I had the choice, if I had to buy a car, for example, now, which I don't own a car, haven't owned a car for a long time. But if I were to buy a car, I'd try and get something like a Mercedes 190D, which is what I used to own. And the reason I get something like that is I'm pretty certain that for example, that 190D, which came off the production line 30 years ago, will be on the road longer than some cheaper vehicle that comes off the production line now. And not only that, I know it's reliable, and if I need parts or something like that, they're at least here anyway, they're relatively cheap. So I'd definitely go for a classic vehicle. It didn't have a classic car, but it didn't have too much electronics. And my first vehicle ever was a Renault 25. It was from 1982, and it was hopeless because there was electronics failing all the time, and it was also one of these annoying ones that used to talk to you as well. So that really was a bad thing to do. But no electronics, as few electronics as possible, and get a something which has already shown it'll work and will continue to work. I think actually I might be saying something else in 15 years' time. I might be saying, no, you don't want to get a van from 2020, for example, because the electronics there's too many electronics, and the electronics will not be working anymore. One thing is, I would have to say my favorite, or the most attractive van on the market is the Ice Mauve from Niesmann Bischoff. But the amount of complaints that I've had, I need to do a video on this one, comparing what some buyers have actually said, and the people have been happy with it as well, of course. And it is really, I think it's a work of art inside. It's really lovely, but it doesn't work, right? And this is the problem. It's got to be practical. It's not, you don't buy a motor, well, you probably don't buy a motorhome just to look at. I don't know, if you buy it just to look at, then you won't be bothered by things like this. But if you're buying it to use it, it's got to be fit for purpose, and this is the thing. It's got to perform. And I get people sort of writing, I see comments about people that they suddenly need a vehicle because emergencies happened, or something happened today, and so contacting me, can someone can borrow me a vehicle, rent me a vehicle. We just got ours out, and now suddenly they haven't used it for 6 months, and then suddenly they find there's something's just happened with it. A van is much more complicated than a car, and if your car, okay, you've got the car engine might go or something like that. You have problems with, I don't know, all sorts of things in the car, but all sorts of things also happen in the van as well. In your motorhome, I mean, if your toilet stops work, breaks or something. I mean, in my last vehicle, it broke just the last time. The cassette thing, I couldn't get the cassette out, and so I had to make a appropriate consideration of that when I sold it. I mean, obviously I told them everything was wrong with it. So there are things of that nature which might suddenly happen, and you can't really control them. So anyway, good. So that was a rather impromptu. Sorry if I may have a go through this. And anyway, and so Doc Heinz Beans is war winners. Great, thank you. And okay, Jimbo says, we're looking for Mobil Vetta for my wife and 2 kids. It went from 70 to 90k. Decided to buy a 2016 Iveco Daily XLWB panel van, 7.5 meters, and build it myself. Total outlay will be less than 25,000. Wow. If you can build that for less than 25,000, including the cost of the vehicle, you've done well there. It depends on the insulation you're using, of course, but I mean, if you get cheap insulation or expensive insulation, yeah, that's really good. And there's a very good example. But if you can build it yourself. If I can give one piece, I mean, it's a statement of the obvious, maybe, but make sure you've got a really good plan, because things like electrics, which go behind, and hydro. Water, which go behind the walls. So if you plan that out well before you actually start building, that's the one thing I can say from experience, from what other people have said to me. But yeah, that's great. The Mobil Vetta, they're really nice to look at, but they're not all that well built, I think. I mean, if somebody's got a different opinion, I mean, do please say so. But yeah, no, it's great. You can actually build something that cheap. And anyway, so nothing else. You know, it's the most expensive motorhome in the world. Yeah, the most expensive. Well, the thing is this: you can't say. If you're going. Motorhomes are built to order largely, and okay, this one here came off a production line, but if somebody said that they wanted gold taps inside, then Hymer would have put gold taps even in this one. And so you can't say what the most expensive. There's lots of people saying that there's things on YouTube, the top 5 or top 10 most expensive, but this is not really, it's not correct. The most expensive one they normally say is the Marchetti Mobil, made in Austria, but I think they've built about 2 of them or something. So that doesn't really count. There's an American company called Niesmann which has got about $3 million. There's one in what do you call it, a German company, Mobil. They've got one that's about €4.5 million, something like that. But the thing is like this: it's like when 3 million is the cost of the car that goes into it, then that doesn't really count. So we can't. There's no most expensive motorhome in the world as such, in my opinion. It's the only way you can say it is what is the most expensive one that comes off a production line, and for something like that, even that's difficult to say. You've got vehicles, for example, from I've got a video of the production line at Morello, and there you can see, you can just follow the video through. There's about 50 stand positions on the line. But even that, they're building stuff largely to order, so it's not the same. It doesn't really count. So I'm sorry I haven't answered the question, but you've got an honest answer. The honest answer is it can't say what the most expensive one in the world is. You can't say what the most expensive car is, because you can do that if it's coming off a production line and they've got a base minimum price. But with motorhomes, it's not possible to say. All right, okay. So Andrew says he's going to stick with 208 Bürstner. Very good idea. Yes, I would do the same. The thing is, it'll be now possible to negotiate with the dealers. I think the dealers, though, are really being squeezed. Being squeezed at 2 ends. They're being squeezed by the economy, and they're being squeezed by the manufacturers. So and probably they'll end up getting squeezed now by the buyers as well. I would not want to have a motorhome sales business at the moment, with the difficulties that there are. And if prices come down, who's going to take the knock? Is it going to be the dealer, or is it going to be the manufacturer? So if somebody comes along, they've agreed to buy something at 100,000, let's say, then suddenly the price comes down to 90,000. What happens? I don't know. Um, okay. A doctor asks, have I been in many motorhome factories? Which factory was I most impressed by? The most impressive. Oh, I've got the thing on right now. There you go. This one here. No, it says road. Sorry, this one here. Capron. Capron factory in Neustadt and Sachsen in Germany. They make Sunlight and they make Carthago. That is incredibly. I know because I've actually I was managing director of a food production company, and for a short period, and I could say they're the okay. That was super clean. It had to be. I mean, it had to be super clean. But that one there, it almost looks like a food production company. I mean, I've been to these places which where they've got. Um, in fact, there was one place that asked me if I wanted to film, and I said I don't think you'd want me to film. It was bits of they're super clean. You won't even find a screw on the floor, anything, bit of paper out of place, nothing. Is absolutely everything where it should be, and incredibly clean. Not only that, the control of it as well. I saw the quality control in action, and I was super impressed by that. So that's the most impressive one I've been to. Number two position I'd give to Morello, which I've filmed. Actually, sorry, I've even filmed Capron as well, and so those two above all. I mean, I've been to many places. They're not the only ones, but they're the most impressive ones. And they part of the soul of the French car, failing electronics. I love them anyway, says Dr. Kalashnikov. Well, my Renault 25, I must point out, it was a 1982 version, and again, I was using it 10 years later. So, thanks, Clara. And yeah, Element Palazzo, yeah, that's the allegedly the most expensive motorhome in the world. I do actually have a photograph on my Facebook channel of it. It was somebody, who was it? It was filmed at a photograph was taken at the Sochi Olympics in 2012 by some Russian, I think, tennis player. I think she's Russian. I can't remember. It was a woman. I remember that, and I think she was Russian, and I think she played tennis. But her photograph, I reproduced it on my Facebook page of the marquee, what's it called, Palazzo Elemento, or whatever it's called, which is Mobil in. It was anyway in the street in Sochi, and so. All right, so Nigel says that I've got to tell Tanya that you need to buy a motorhome and get touring before I retire and not after. Yeah, sure. I mean, if you start thinking about it now, if Tanya's watching this, then yeah, the time to start thinking about it is before retirement, I think. One of the I've noticed this in life that people actually talk about retirement, what they're going to do in retirement, and then what happens is this: they retire and think, oh yeah, I'll do that in a while, I'll do it in a while, I'll do it, and then it doesn't get done, and it's the same about retirement. Actually, lots of people talk about retirement, and then I'll do it next year, I'll do it, and then they don't do it. I've got to say, I've got a friend of mine, well, he's about 10 years younger than I am, but he had a really good position in one of the motorhome companies, and then he gave it up so he could do a year's tour travel, and he's doing something now, but it's not. I'm sure he's earning like one quarter of what he was doing before, but he realised what he was going to do, and he wanted to do the touring. And he's like, if you don't do it now, when you're sort of fit enough to do it, then you're not going to do it. I can see myself actually as I get older. I'm just not. I don't have the energy that I had, and I do see the decline in health. So if you want to sort of get up and see the world, the best time to do it is as soon as possible. If you've got financial security, then really you've got nothing to worry about. Well, unless your health goes, of course. But so I suggest, if Tanya, if you're watching this, then get the van out now. That would be a good idea. So, thanks very much. This was very much an impromptu live. When I realized that a video wasn't coming up, so I sat down here, I put my computer on, then it said it comes live in 24 hours, and I thought, you can't do that, I've got to put something up. Oh, there's a big ship just going past here. Do you want to see the big ship? And then we'll finish there. See if you can see the ship coming by. Oh, is that coming out? There you go, there's the ship. Can't see it, can you? Oh, well, never mind. I tried. Okay, so thanks very much for being here today with me. All the best. I'll try and do a live outside. That would be a good idea, I think, as well. So thanks, Meebus. Thanks, Annie. And thanks, Andrew, Nigel. Thank you. And Slava Ukraina. Yes, thank you. I might be. Unfortunately, I've got an injury, so but I might be going back. I hope the injury's finished by October. I might be going back to Ukraine then. I might be. Okay. Thank you. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Nathaniel, Doctor. Thank you. Bye.